Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, have some fun, but don't ever do, believe, or promote anything they say. They're idiots.
Guys, hold up. You should know, this ain't for everybody. Welcome to Savagely Loud. What's happening, people? Welcome back to the show that believes that facts divided by feelings equals failure. Nobody wants that. Guys, I'm Cliff. I'm your host, and let's just dive into this shit. Guys, I want to talk about Chicago because you know what? There seems to be a lot of talk lately about racist hiring practices with all this DEI talk and all this affirmative action talk. There's always this talk about racist hiring practices on the part of white people. There's not a lot of evidence for it. There's not a lot of criteria that can support people's argument that it happens. People just use words because they're easy, and they put them together in ways that sound a lot like white people are racist and only hire white people, which is a really interesting thing because we have in our country right now a breaking news story having to do with racist hiring practices. But what's really odd about this is who it involves, and well, let's just say it's a little bit of a role reversal from what we've seen for the last 40 years. Guys, for the last 40 years, I'm sure you're familiar, white people have not been able to question the black community or culture at all in any way, on any level, about anything. If the white people questioned the black culture, the black community on anything, they were immediately labeled racist or bigot, and they were shoved off into to the outskirts of society, to the fringe element of society, never to be listened to again. But now in 2025, we're not only seeing the white people start stepping up and asking questions about the black community and the glaring issues within it, but we're starting to see everybody stand up and start asking questions. We're starting to see Central and South Americans really push hard against the black community and black culture. We're seeing Asians and Eastern Europeans fucking push back really hard against black culture, even in their own countries. And it has a lot to do with the fact that they've been getting special treatment for this long. For my whole life, they've been getting special treatment, and people are just fucking tired of it. Now, we're going to talk about this story having to do with the black mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Now, if you're not familiar with Brandon Johnson, let's just break him down a little bit. Let's talk about who he is, okay? So I'm going to get this from Wikipedia, and I understand that's not always the best fucking source, but it's going to serve our purposes here. He was born March 27th, 1976, he is an American politician and educator who is currently serving as the 57th mayor of Chicago since 2023. A member of the Democratic Party, Johnson previously served on the Cook County Board of Commissioners from 2018 to 2023, representing the 1st District. Born and raised in Elgin, Illinois, Johnson started his career as a social studies teacher in the Chicago public school system. He also was an active member of the Chicago Teachers Union, helping organize their 2012 strike. In his first race for public office, Johnson was elected to the Cook County Board of Commissioners in 2018, defeating the incumbent. Johnson represented parts of Chicago's west side and some of the city's western suburbs. He won re-election in 2022. Johnson ran successfully for mayor in Chicago of 2023. In the first round of the election, he and Paul Vallis advanced to a runoff. Unseating incumbent Mayor Lori Lightfoot, Johnson subsequently defeated Vallis in the runoff election. Now, goes on to say, throughout his political career, Johnson has been described as a political progressive. As mayor, Johnson has focused on combating homelessness and enacting police and education reform. His term has largely been viewed unfavorably by Chicago voters, earning among the lowest approval ratings ever recorded for a U.S. politician as of February 2025. Now, okay, let's get into his career because I want to talk about what makes him, what gives him the right to have this position? What makes him qualified to be the mayor of Chicago? He was a social studies teacher. I mean, I guess that gives you some sort of dealing with the younger groupie, the younger demographic, maybe, the parents, maybe. Let's get into it. On the early career part of the Wikipedia, Johnson worked as a social studies teacher at Jenner Academy Elementary from 2007 to 2010, a public school near the Cabrini Green housing development on Chicago's near north side. Let's stop there for a second. So part of what made him candidate for mayor, part of what gave him the necessary criteria and credentials is being a elementary school social studies teacher in one of the absolute worst school districts in the world for 3 years. Interesting. Let's go on. Let's move on. Johnson then taught at George Westinghouse College Prep High School in the East Garfield Park neighborhood for less than 1 year, before becoming a full-time organizer. Both are part of the Chicago public school systems. Now, let's talk about that. George Westinghouse College Prep High School in East Garfield Park. College prep is a really fucking neat way to make your high school sound better than it is. It's just a fucking piece of shit high school in East Garfield Park. If you're not familiar with East Garfield Park is an absolute fucking hellhole. In fact, a lot of the videos that you see of shit happening in Chicago, those videos are taken somewhere in or around the Garfield Park neighborhood, Garfield Park area. Then he became a full-time organizer. So now the credentials for him becoming mayor is a 3-year social studies teacher stint in an elementary school in the ghetto and less than a year at a high school, again, in the ghetto. And then he became a full-time organizer. You know what organizers do? Okay, so you know how that old saying, like those who can't do teach, right? You know? Well, those who can't teach, organize. That's how this shit works. Like, those who cannot fucking handle teaching shit, which is amongst the easiest shit on the earth, I've done it. Yeah, they organize. Organizers, full-time organizer. You know what an organizer does? An organizer organizes ways to fuck things up for somebody out there, okay? When your whole career is managing how to fuck somebody's day up, you're not looking at a lot of great potential here. It goes on to say Johnson became an organizer with the Chicago Teacher Union in 2011 and helped organize the 2012 Chicago teacher strike. He also helped lead field campaigns during the 2015 Chicago mayoral and aldermanic elections. So that's where he got the credentials. That's, if you know how to read between the lines, that's where he got it. He worked the campaigns for the mayor and the alderman. He got his fucking dick suckings in so that everybody knew his fucking name. So, well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's something coming up that gives him, rhyme or reason to be the fucking mayor. Cook County Commissioner, 2018 to 2023. Johnson ran against incumbent Richard Boykin in the 2018 election for Cook County Board of Commissioners, 1st District. He was endorsed by a number of labor organizations and progressive advocacy groups, including the Chicago Teachers Union, Grassroots Illinois Action, the People's Lobby, Our Revolution, the SEIU Locals 1 and 73. He is also endorsed by Cook County Board of Commissioners President Tony Preckwinkle, who is a fucking pile of shit. That last statement is not in the Wikipedia, although it should be. He won the Democratic Party primary election on March 20, 2018, defeating Boykin by a 0.8 percentage point. That's 437 votes, and ran unopposed in the general election on November 6, 2018. Johnson was sworn in as Cook County Commissioner on December 3rd, 2018. Isn't that odd? that he beat him by just that narrow of a margin. I mean, 437 votes in a city of 3-point-something million. That's pretty easy to, to hide that. I understand not everybody votes in these things, but it's easy to hide 437 votes in a city of Chicago. That's 0.8% point. It's unreal. And then he ran unopposed, almost like somebody might have got paid to not run the next time. Oh, interesting. That's never happened in the history of Chicago. But moving on, Johnson was the chief sponsor of the Just Housing Ordinance, which amended the county's housing ordinance by prohibiting potential landlords or property owners from asking about or considering prospective tenants or home buyers' criminal history. The ordinance was passed in April 2019. So what that meant is he made it easy for people to rent houses from good, hardworking homeowners and then absolutely fuck them up by having gangbangers and drug deals and fucking stash houses and grow houses just spring up all the way across the fucking city. You can't ask about the fucking criminal history especially on a fucking rental situation. You can go fuck yourself. I promise you, if you walk into one of my rentals, I can smell piece of shit from a mile away. We're gonna look at this house. It's gonna look great, and I'm gonna get back to you. That's the way it's gonna fucking work out. I promise. So after he does that bullshit, let's move on. In October of 2019, Johnson spoke at a solidarity rally supporting striking teachers and supporting staff during the 2019 Chicago Public Schools strike, and wrote supportive letters to the editor in the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times. So he was blowing the editors at the papers to get his name out. We got it. Johnson worked as a paid organizer. Hey, organize this way to fuck somebody's day up. Organize this fucking, this demonstration, this protest full of people that don't even know why they're there. That's what this is. Focusing as a paid organizer for CTU, focusing on legislative affairs. Politico's Illinois Playbook reported after the strike that Johnson was rumored as a potential mayoral candidate in the 2023 election. Wow, shocking. Johnson responded by calling the rumors laughable and criticizing the publication for making a connection between the strike and his electoral career. Wow, shocking. In November of 2019, Johnson wrote in an essay on a CTU publication drawing a distinction between the union's organizing model and, quote, top-down school governance, end quote. Johnson endorsed Tony Preckwinkle ahead of the first round of the 2019 mayoral election. He's also endorsed Melissa Conyers-Ervin in the 2019 Chicago City Treasurer election. In August of 2019, Johnson endorsed the candidacy of Elizabeth Warren in the 2020 Democratic presidential primaries. This fucking dude has got his lips on every ass out there, and everybody wonders why he became the mayor, how he became the mayor. Well, there's no real fucking criteria between why he's, to justify why he became the mayor. But I guess, I don't know, maybe if you look in the summer of 2020, amid the George Floyd protests, Johnson authored the, quote, Justice for Black Lives resolution that was adopted in July of 2020. The resolution called for reallocating funding from policing and incarceration to public services not administered by law enforcement that promote community health and safety, equitability. In an interview that year, Johnson praised the political catchphrase, defund the police, as a, quote, real political goal. He would later then walk back his embrace of the phrase defund the police, especially making an effort to dissociate himself from it during the 2023 mayoral campaign. This fucking guy, he uses the George Floyd protests and rides that piggyback about fucking for Black Lives Matter, basically. Gets his name in everybody's fucking brain and mouth for doing absolutely fucking not a fucking thing. Then starts in on his racist fucking public services not administered by a law enforcement that promote community health and safety, equitability. equitability, that means the same for everybody, which means basically the way I take this is he wanted to make sure that we stopped, quote unquote, over policing black neighborhoods, which is a really interesting concept in and of itself. Over policing black neighborhoods. How exactly are you over policing a neighborhood that you're always catching somebody doing crime in? It would seem to me if you are 100% of the time catching somebody doing crime in a neighborhood, you're under policing them. Because maybe if you were over policing them, it would be a 50% of the time you would catch somebody, and 50% of the time nobody would be doing anything. That's over policing. Under policing is you always get you get a guy doing some shit. That's always fucking happening. That's under policing. But I digress. Let's move on. So Johnson was reelected in 2022 to whatever the fuck he was. Mayoral campaign. I don't fucking know, but he was reelected in 2022 to some shit. And then during his tenure, the Board of Commissioners. I'm brain farting. Dude, guys, it's late. Bear with me. I'm trying to get this shit out here so we can have these conversations get started. But during Johnson's tenure on the Board of Commissioners, Board President Tony Preckwinkle exerted strong influence on the policy pursued in the body. Johnson had generally been allied with Preckwinkle. Isn't that motherfucking amazing how you align yourself with the controllers of the fucking city and you just, with absolutely zero rhyme or reason, zero criteria justifying it, you find yourself in the fucking position of mayor of one of the largest cities in America and one of the most crucial cities in America. This fucking dude, guys, the Wikipedia goes on and on and on, and it goes on about his fucking runoff election and all this other shit. But here's the interesting thing that's happening right now about this black mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. He was in an interview and he said a bunch of dumb shit. And I, in fact, made a video about it this morning here on Monday morning. I'm recording this on Monday late at night. But if you go back on my personal page, Savagely Loud on Instagram, where I'm most active, you can see the video from Monday morning where I talked about his interview. He made a just gaggle of dumbass statements and it just put 1,000 feet in his mouth. And we need to talk about him. And it's really cool because we can talk about him. And even if we're not supposed to, we're going to anyway, because that's how these walls get broken down. Guys, in this interview, he said things like this. I quote, "When you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else." He means when you hire black people, we always look out for everybody else. Guys, that fucking statement is laughable because the mass majority of population of Chicago is black. And they're running everybody out of the fucking city with their crime. I don't know who they're looking out for, but it ain't anybody else, I can assure you that. But that's just a racist statement. When you hire our people, meaning black, instead of I could have accepted Chicagoans, I could have accepted Cook Countyans, I could have accepted Illinoisans, but to say black, that's racist. Plain and out, that means you're not colorblind, you're blinded by color. You're going to go black and you're not going to fucking look back. He said this too. We are the most generous people on the planet. Guys, I gotta tell you, I can't really disagree with that one because, I mean, when it comes to generosity, black people do seem to be the most generous people on earth. I mean, they're so generous. They'll just like walk into any store they want to walk into and generously just give themselves everything they ever thought they deserved. So I really can't disagree with that statement. He went on to say then, we just make somebody a family member. Now, he was referring to play cousins, which is in the black community or black culture, this thing where, you know, family friends become cousins and little kids, they play or whatever. What he actually meant to say is, as long as you're black and agree with every fucking thing I say, then you're going to become a family member. That is pretty much all the way across the black community, even across my black friends who say this shit out loud. Like, dude, I can't even have you in my house with my mom. You're going to say that shit and she's going to flip out, not knowing, you know, like, so you got to agree with them and you got to be black and then you can be part of the family. But this is the really, really incredibly interesting part of this interview, is he got really, really proud and really, really boastful when he said things like this. And these are direct quotes. The deputy mayor of business and economic development is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief of operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. And then he continued to say, how do you ensure that our people, and he trailed off, and it basically went to come out to say, how do we ensure that our people retain power? Our people, again, meaning black. That means you're blinded by color. You're going to go color above content any day of the week. But here's the really cool thing now, is because like a couple of years ago, this would have been this would have been commended. This would have been had people cheering, blah, blah, blah. He openly says we have the blackest cabinet in Chicago history, which he does. This would have been commended. But now in 2025, to give everybody hope, not just white people, but like I say, all people that are not black, that have always been taught you're not allowed to question the black culture or community, it's going to give all of us hope, because in this day and age, in 2025, this is becoming unacceptable. And that is being proven by the fact that 6 hours ago, again, this is Monday, so about noonish, about 3-ish, 4 o'clock-ish, a headline hit the internet. It was quite interesting. Said the U.S. Department of Justice opening civil rights investigation into Chicago mayor. The U.S. Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division says it's opened an investigation into Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's hiring. Why it matters? The letter outlines what the Trump administration and some MAGA activists have identified as race-based hiring that they say discriminates against white candidates. The DOJ says the investigation is to determine whether Johnson has violated Title 8, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which bans hiring based on race. Driving the news, the letter from DOJ Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon, sorry if I'm butchering your name, references remarks Johnson made Sunday at a church on Chicago's South Side, which is the video that I was referencing in my video. What they're saying: in your remarks made yesterday at the Apostolic Church of God in Woodlawn, you highlighted the number of black officials in your administration, the letter to Johnson says. You then went on to list each of these individuals, emphasizing their race. The letter continues with a list of various positions in the Johnson administrations held by black people. If these kinds of hiring decisions are being made for top-level positions in your administration, then it begs the question whether such decisions are also being made for lower-level positions as well, the letter says. Zoom in. Some of the positions in Johnson highlighted included 2 deputy mayors, positions held by black women, and the city's chief operations officer, who is a black man. Johnson made the comment during a nearly 50-minute interview Sunday with Bishop Byron Brazier as part of his media blitz, touting his accomplishments at the midpoint of his tenure, most of which, these are my words, most of which is him touting having the, quote, blackest cabinet in Chicago history, end quote. Then it continues to say, it is the most diverse administration in the history of Chicago, Johnson said. The other side. The mayor's office said it had just received the letter and was looking into it when Axios asked for comment. Now, let's go into this, okay? So, because there's 2 things going on here. Brandon Johnson is calling, he just announced this Build Better Together initiative on March 27th of 2025. I'm looking at this article, and he highlights togetherness. He highlights unity and all this other shit. But what it actually is, when you read the article, it's really just highlighting how to help the black community of Chicago. And it really doesn't have anything to do with having anybody else involved other than Black people. And the way they word it is so today, is all I can really think of. They say this new initiative showcases and advances economic development, including growth, quality housing, businesses, jobs, lifestyle, and cultural improvements for Chicagoans. You can't build anything if nobody wants to live here. Okay. But because of we're seeing this new initiative of suddenly this new Build Together initiative, I'd like to now let's sidestep a little bit to a little website called The Tribe. I found this on the internet today, and this was incredibly interesting to me because as I was reading through the articles about them releasing releasing statements involving the DOJ's opening an investigation on Brandon Johnson's hiring practices, I stumbled upon this website. Now, I want to just highlight these statements again really, really quickly here. Why it matters. The letter outlines what the Trump administration and some MAGA activists have identified as race-based hiring, and they say discriminates against white candidates. Do you see the negative connotation they threw in there? Like, oh my God, can you fucking believe these people are saying this? Don't even pay attention. What that says is pretty much any stupid person is going to stop reading right there because they're going to be like, oh, MAGA, fuck them. That should have never been put in there. They're not MAGA activists. They're American patriots that are questioning their own government, which we're supposed to do. But they put that in there. Now, I stumble upon this website called The Tribe. That is TheTriibe. That's two I's in tribe. This website, The Tribe, is literally a cultish shrine honoring the, quote, blackest cabinet in Chicago's history. The very first thing you see on the page when you pull it up is a photo of a lot of Black people. Let's count them. Brandon Johnson is first and foremost up in the middle. You know, he's the biggest. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So you've got a photo with 18 Black people in it. And next to that, in big bold letters, says, meet the Black leaders in Mayor Brandon Johnson's cabinet. Now, this was updated on June 19th, 2024. So it's just about a year old. So you should know that there has been more Black cabinet members added to this. So there is more than 18 now. But this is very much so a shrine to his racist hiring practices. This is patting him on the back. This is promoting this. So let me read through this website, this first clip of this website for you. Who is Mayor Brandon Johnson's cabinet? Who are they accountable to? And how are they working to improve the lives of Black Chicagoans? That's the very first line on the website. Who is in Mayor Brandon Johnson's cabinet? Who are they accountable to? And how are they working to improve the lives of Black Chicagoans? Black Chicagoans, very first line, you just said Black Chicagoans, not any fucking Chicagoan of any other culture. It's not even white anymore. It's no Asian, no Mexican, no Ecuadorian, no Honduran, no fucking British, no Scottish, no Irish, no nobodies, only Black. The next line, nearly half of Johnson's cabinet is Black. As of June 17th, this would be 2024, Black people represented 44% of his cabinet. They represent nearly 100%, given my latest research now. But over the last 6 weeks, the Tribe contacted 22 Black cabinet members and leads from 2 of the city's 5 sister agencies, which received responses from 17 people. To learn more about their roles in city government, we sent questionnaires to them asking how they're working to improve the lives of Black people across Chicago. Guys, thetribe.com, 2 eyes in the tribe. You can go read all of this for yourself. Let's continue. Previous mayoral administrations had varying ideologies around the roles in city departments and sister agencies within their cabinet. Johnson considers leaders of sister agencies such as the Chicago Housing Authority, the CHA, Chicago Transit Authority, CTA, Chicago Park District, CPD, Chicago Public Library, the CPL, and the City Colleges of Chicago as members of his cabinet. Black CTA riders represent 38% of total ridership, according to a 2021 survey conducted by the Regional Transportation Authority, which oversees the CTA, Metra, and PACE. In addition, 84% of CHA residents are Black. Chicago Housing Authority. The availability and affordable housing is also an issue that impacts Black Chicago residents, because Black people are the only people that can't afford anything. Because, white people go out and get fucking jobs. Asian people go out and get fucking jobs. Mexicans go out and get fucking jobs. We all go out and get fucking jobs, but black people seem to not go get fucking jobs, so they can't afford shit. The mayor nominates leaders for the city's sister agencies, boards, and other commissions. So the mayor puts his friends in charge of mostly positions they have absolutely no business being in charge of. We reached out to Chicago Police Department, the CPD, I don't know what that is, superintendent maybe, I don't know. Larry Snelling twice about participating in this story. His office didn't respond to our request. No, he didn't, because it's fucking racist as shit. He's not going to put his name to it. CTA President Dorval Carter and Johnson's communications director, Ronnie Reese, also declined to be part of this story. Yeah, because it's fucking racist and they don't want to put their fucking name on it. Jason Lee, who serves as Johnson's senior advisor, and Sidney Holman, the director of intergovernmental affairs, did not respond to our request. Yeah, because it's racist as shit and they don't want to put their fucking name to it. Well, they fucking continue on this website and they start breaking down the members currently at that time in June of 2024. They start breaking down those current members of his cabinet. The first one is Sierra Boatwright. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, probably not. She is the Commissioner, Department of Planning and Development. Guys, I don't know what you're planning, because there's no businesses coming into Chicago. In fact, there are more businesses and more people leaving Chicago now than ever before. And fun fact, I have a list of some of those very, very large companies that have chosen to leave Chicago that we will get into shortly. But it details Sierra Boatwright, Commissioner, Department of Planning and Development. You would think in the breakdowns in the bios of these, they would give you some sort of criteria or credentials that would justify these people having these positions, but they actually don't. They really just break down how these people want to help the Black neighborhoods. Boatwright said the city's tax increment financing has failed Black neighborhoods. The shift to bond financing is a watershed moment that will enable the city to allocate support for improvement projects located within a broader west side and south side geography, and for more potential costs that were ineligible for TIF, that's the tax increment financing. Boatwright said the result will be more jobs, more services, and more public amenities in Black neighborhoods. And there's more, and it's all just highlighting what she wants to do for Black neighborhoods. Let's move on. Randy Connor, the Commissioner of Chicago Department of Water Management, he goes on to Connor also wrote, the department has been working to make contract bids more accessible to small and medium-sized Black-owned businesses. So Mayor Johnson has assembled a team of forward thinkers that represent the Black community and understand the movement and the needs of the Black people. That combination alone will be a springboard catalyst for the Black community, Connor said. So this again, guys, he's the Department of Water Management, the commissioner, Randy Connor, is only concerned with helping Black people. Let's move on. Melissa Conyers-Irvin, treasurer of the city of Chicago. She, too, is only concerned with the Black community. In a questionnaire, Conyers-Irvin told the Tribe that in service to Chicago's Black community, the Treasurer's office is working to, quote, provide financial education to build sustainable wealth and a brighter future, especially for those who have faced barriers to opportunities because of discrimination, while helping to build stronger, healthier communities in the process. So what she's saying is that all of these inner city young Black people that are out here here, mugging people, creating all this sorts of havoc and chaos and hurting everybody else, including themselves in the process. She's going to provide some sort of education for them, because they're only doing that because, they faced racial barriers. They faced discriminatory barriers. But the crime that they're doing is actually out there. It's helping the community. And you know what? As funny as that's meant to be, I could argue that it is helping the communities, because the more shitheads that we get out here committing crimes, the faster fucking normal people wake the fuck up, stand the fuck up, and speak the fuck up, conquer the fucking problem. But let's move on. So now we've established that Melissa Conyers-Irvin, treasurer of the city of Chicago, is only concerned with black people. Billy Evans, chief of faith engagement. If that doesn't sound like a fucking horseshit position, I haven't heard one yet. But yeah, so what's he concerned with? Also, Faith Advisory Board. When in a questionnaire for the tribe, Evans described the role as supporting the black community by quote, bringing city resources to the faith community and making opportunities known in a more tangible way. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, I mean, really, what does that fucking mean? Other than we're going to spend more of the taxpayers' money on something, some sort of opportunities. What does it actually mean? What the fuck does it mean? He didn't want to elaborate, though. But he did say, we brought over 400 faith leaders and all city agencies together to bring their resources to the faith community. What possibly could the fucking faith resources need to have all these people? Well, when asked about Mayor Johnson's key successes in supporting Chicago's black communities, Evans mentioned the implementation of the paid leave and paid sick leave ordinance, more youth summer jobs, and creating an office of reentry on the west side to help people returning from prison to find jobs, healthcare, and other resources. Okay, let's break that down real quick, okay? Paid leave and paid sick leave, that's not stopping anybody from paying bills. That's just not stopping anybody from getting jobs. It doesn't make any sense to me. I understand why you want to get paid for your fucking sick days, but get a fucking skill and then you'll have a job that pays you for those sick days. If you're working at fucking Burger King or fucking KFC or McDonald's, you don't have any fucking skills. So they're not going to pay you to fucking be sick. It's just not going to happen. Get a better skill. Okay. But more youth jobs. Well, youth summer jobs in Chicago. I mean, dude, the black community leads unemployment always by double the next one underneath it. So obviously nobody's taking the jobs. So what do you need the money to create the jobs for? Are you actually creating the jobs, or are you just getting the money? What's the Office of Reentry on the West Side to help help people returning from prison? That one, I don't know how I feel about that, because, the humanitarian part of me, the guy in me that was a shithead at one point and has reformed, wants to believe that reform is possible for everyone. But as we're seeing in the statistics, those icky, sticky statistics, reform is not usually the thing that happens. It's just not. That's why we see more repeat offenders than first-time offenders in Chicago and places like it. I do, however, if you can get them a fucking job and get them to hold at a job, great. Just don't waste too much of the fucking resources. If they fuck it up once, they're done. Let's cut them off then. Let's move on. Gary and Gatewood, deputy mayor of community safety. Now, here's an interesting situation with this man here, because what we're seeing here is yet another appearance of this label. Okay, first ever, right? So what we've seen in what we've seen and we see currently in a lot of the situations regarding Brandon Johnson's fucking cabinet is he likes to rename old positions so that he can add the term first ever to that fucking thing. So here's a great example of that. Mayor Johnson appointed Gary and Gatewood as the first, quote, first ever deputy mayor of community safety in May of 2023. Now, that might sound really awesome. He's the first ever deputy mayor of community safety. That's awesome. And he's black. That's great. But here's the issue. All he did was replace the old title, which was Office of Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, so that he could add first ever deputy. He could add that fucking title. And we see that in a lot of these positions. But what does Gary and Gatewood? In a questionnaire for the tribe, Gary and Gatewood wrote, the Office of Community Safety works to improve the lives of black people by, quote, focusing efforts in some of the most disinvested communities in the city. We believe the layered approach to safety will help deliver resources and services in the city of Chicago that will have impacts for generations to come. So again, focusing efforts in the most disinvested communities, lives of black people. Again, we've got somebody in control in a very, very powerful position in Chicago that is only concerned for black people, not white people, not Asian people, not Mexican people, not any other fucking people, but black people. Guys, let's move on to S. Mayumi, quote, aka Umi Grigsby, Chief of Policy. Speaking to the Johnson administration's priorities in helping Chicago's black community, Grigsby wrote to the tribe, in the policy team, we believe that a better, stronger, safer future is one where our youth and our communities have access to the tools and resources they need to thrive. What that means, let me break that down for you. What that means is they're going to find a way to find even more money from the taxpayers of Cook County and Chicago, and most likely Illinois as an extension, and they're going to they're going to form more of these horse shit fucking money laundering fucking youth schemes and fucking programs that are going to go nowhere, do nothing, and just soak up more of the taxpayer money, which will then in turn be fucking ipso facto rooted through the fucking back door into their fucking wallet. But again, we're hearing the priorities in helping Chicago's black communities. Why are we only concerned with helping the black communities? Why are we not concerned with helping all other communities? I would argue that they know that all other communities help themselves. And the black community has become so accustomed to not doing a single fucking thing for itself that all they got to hear is somebody's going to do it for them and they'll get the vote. Let's move on. The next one, Annette Guzman, budget director. Well, Chicago's budget is in the worst position it's ever been in the fucking history of the city. So I don't know if she should still have a job, but let's see what she's got to say. In a questionnaire for the tribe, Guzman wrote that her office will be producing monthly status reports on each ARPA program's spending and impact. ARPA. ARPA is the American Rescue Plan Act. It's a spending act to distribute COVID-19 funds that haven't gotten distributed yet. But they will also publish a regularly updated new ARPA website so that public can keep abreast of its work. And I thought that was kind of refreshing. We didn't hear anything in that particular little excerpt about, only helping the black community or whatever. So I went on to read, I think Mayor Johnson is doing a great job of assembling subject matter experts to serve the city, Guzman wrote to the tribe. He doesn't have a subject expert at all on anything. He's just got black people that he wanted that would take the job. He has put through consequential legislation to support key constituencies, including tipped workers, and passed his first budget with overwhelming support. He has also taken very difficult legislation to city council to support the expiration of TIF districts. That's the tax incremental thing. To promote more equitable economic development and affordable housing projects through bond issuances, and to support the orderly administration of services for migrants flooding our city from the border. So there it was. Oh, well, at least she's not only concerned with the black people. She also wants to spend all our money on taking care of the fucking people that have absolutely zero fucking right to be here. Then she went on to Guzman. Then the tribe went on and says, Guzman highlighted some vital programs centered around black Chicagoans. Fuck. We almost had one, including rapid rehousing to address homelessness, which they've done nothing with. Family Connects, a family maternal care program meant to address pregnancy-related deaths in Illinois. Re-entry housing to help those returning to Chicago from jail or prison find jobs or other assistance. Violence intervention programs and youth justice diversion programs. So again, just another one. Not only is she only worried about the black community, but on top of that, she's also only worried about the fucking migrants that have zero fucking reason to be here, or zero right to be here. What's the next one? Annette Nance Holt, Commissioner, Chicago Fire Department. What does this one say? In a questionnaire for the tribe, Nance Holt highlighted the ways in which she works to improve the lives of Chicagoans. Holy shit, it didn't say black Chicagoans. That's pretty fucking rad. She has my attention. Quote, I have worked my entire career to improve the lives of in every neighborhood across Chicago, Nance Holt wrote. Chicago is a city of neighborhoods and administration, and I have worked to increase the number of underrepresented communities through outreach community events. I actively participate in programs to engage with our youth. My hope is to spark their interest in public service and encourage them to consider a career with the fire department. Fires and EMS emergencies don't distinguish between the north, south, east, or west sides of Chicago. At the time of her, I thought that was incredibly refreshing. There's nothing about only helping helping the black community. But at the time of her nomination, oh boy, here we go. The department had more than 5,000 members, 90% male and 66% white. Speaking of the department's service to Chicago's black communities, Nance Holt highlighted the city's involvement in the Crisis Assistance Response and Engagement, or CARE program, because who doesn't like a good acronym? Oh, man. The plot was led by Alderman Rosanna Rodriguez Sanchez, approved by Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and created through the 2021 budget process with an initial $3.5 million investment. Nance Holt also listed the city's mobile integrated health program as targeting the medical needs of residents dealing with chronic illnesses in underserved, underrepresented communities. She also highlighted active recruitment and efforts around the city to generate interest in career opportunities, public service throughout local high schools. Now, it did touch on the white shit, but it didn't necessarily, she doesn't seem like she's necessarily considering only helping the black community, which is a good thing. That's Annette Nance Holt. I think hyphenating your name is a spit in the fucking face to your fucking husband, but whatever, or your mate. But here's the thing about her. She's not only helping the black community, which is a great thing, but why does she have her job? Mayor Lori Lightfoot nominated Annette Nance Holt to lead the Chicago Fire Department in May of 2021. Nance Holt is the first black woman to lead the department. So that's why they needed a first black woman to lead something. But hey, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt on this one. I'm going to give her the wiggle room to hope that she's in it for the good and the whole of the city. So that's Annette Nance Holt, Black Commissioner, Chicago Fire Department. The next one up is Marlene Hopkins, Commissioner, Chicago Department of Buildings. In a questionnaire for the tribe, Hopkins describes her role as being responsible for the issuing of building permits, conducting inspections and code enforcement to ensure compliance with the Chicago construction codes and safety standards, and enforcing regulations related to construction and development. But this is the funny part. Following the 2020 botched demolition in Little Village, which harmed a predominantly Latinx, which let's talk about this Latinx thing real quick because it's bullshit. Latinx is not a fucking thing. It's just not a fucking thing. Latin culture is gender all the way right down to the beginning. Hermana, like everything is fucking gender based. So this Latinx thing is just a horse shit thing that white people came up with to feel virtuous. So stop doing that Latinx thing. But predominantly Latinx community, the city's inspector general recommended that disciplinary action be taken against Hopkins, Jorge Herrera, who also worked in the buildings department, and Dave Graham, an assistant commissioner in the city Department of Public Health. At the time, Hopkins was the managing deputy commissioner for the Department of Buildings at the time. Johnson tapped her Hopkins for this role, for his cabinet role in April. So she's part of this giant fucking scandal that fucked up a Latin community. And Brandon Johnson goes, hey, I'll bet you'll play ball. Why don't you come join my cabinet? It's unfucking real. It's unfucking real. Guys, we go on and on with this list of just black person after black person after black person after black person after black person that is only concerned with the black community and helping the black community in Chicago. You're not going to fucking tell me that you can believe this is not racism. You're not going to fucking tell me that in your heart of hearts, in the truest part of your honest, most honest part of your brain, that you don't see this as completely 100% racism. Because it is, and you do. This is the greatest thing about this time that we're in now, is that we can have these conversations about things like Chicago being in the state of affairs that it's in the shambles that it's in, hiring nothing but or appointing nothing but a black cabinet to run the entire city, and then boasting how proud they are of this, how great this black cabinet is doing, when we're seeing things like this next thing we have to get to. The next thing we have to get to is, let's take a look at the list of companies that have left Chicago, most of which have left Illinois, but all of which have left Chicago, and some of which are thinking about leaving Chicago. Let's start with Peak Six. Peak Six Investments, which is a huge investment company, they left Chicago. That's going to cost them probably tens or if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Caterpillar, the big tractors you see, moving all the dirt, building all the shit. Yeah, they had $1 billion thing going, fucking city of Chicago did, but nope, they fucked that up, and Caterpillar left. Boeing, you know, that tiny little company that makes those tiny little planes for every country on the face of the earth. Yeah, they left Chicago and went to fucking Virginia because they can't handle the fucking, all of this is because piss poor leadership and high crime rates. That's what all of these people have cited as to why they're leaving. Piss poor leadership, high crime rates. And that piss poor leadership transitions into everything. High taxes, fucking fraudulent tax codes, this and that and the other thing. Who else left? You know, when you're walking to the freezer section and you see all those red bags of frozen chicken that say Tyson on them? Yeah, that's Tyson Foods. They left and they went to Arkansas because fucking Chicago fucked them over. TTX. TTX is the rail cars, the freight cars. Piss poor leadership caused them to leave Chicago and go to fucking North Carolina. Citadel Investments. They left Chicago, probably fucking cost Chicago tens of millions, if not more. They left Chicago. Stellantis, you know, that little company that owns littler companies like Chrysler and Dodge, you know, that company. They left Chicago. They moved. They moved all the way to fucking. They went to Belvedere, and now they're looking to move into Indiana. So. Or they're moving to everything in Indiana, which is that's really saying something. When Indiana, being the armpit of America, Indiana is the worst fucking state in America. It's the biggest fucking hellhole with the shittiest fucking people that are going in the absolute nowhereist. The roads suck. The fucking attitudes suck. Everything about Indiana fucking sucks. This company chose to move to Indiana over stay in Chicago and Illinois. Let's let that sink in. Tenneco, they chose to move to Detroit over stay in Chicago. You know, Detroit, that fucking war-torn fucking place 5.5 hours from here that you can literally see on the internet house listings for $1 that have been listed for years because they can't sell them. They can't sell whole homes for $1 because the place is such a fucking hellhole. And that company chose to go there instead of stay in Chicago. Schumacher Electric, the fucking battery chargers and all that shit. Yep, they fucking moved out of Chicago. They went to fucking Texas. A lot of these companies went to Texas. United Airlines, well, there's a little tiny one. They moved out of fucking Chicago too, and they went to Virginia. Beam Suntory, the liquor conglomerate, they moved out of fucking Chicago. They moved over to New York, another fucking crime-ridden place. But hey, it's not Chicago, right? American Science and Surplus, they moved out of Chicago. They're still in Illinois, but they moved out of Chicago because they had to get rid of they had to get away from the crime. They had to get rid of the fucking break-ins. They had to get away from all that shit. Citibank left Chicago. Great Lakes Dredge and Dock. They left Chicago. The Great Lakes, think about this. It's in the name. Great Lakes, dredge and dock. Moved to Texas. Almost the farthest away you can get from the Great Lakes, because everything around the Great Lakes is fucking practically Chicago now, and Chicago's the worst thing on earth. Blue Pallet, they left Chicago, went to Texas. Extenet Systems, they left Chicago. Peruse Holdings, they left Chicago. Alico Sport, they left Chicago. That's when they fucking, that one hurt. XR Masters, which is a tech startup, they fucking left Chicago. Spire Hospitality, which is a fucking gigantic third-party hotel management company, they left Chicago and went to fucking Texas. Now, here's some mind blowers for you. Some companies that are talking about moving. Some of them actually, I think, have moved, yes. But here's one. McDonald's. Yeah, they're thinking about pulling out of Chicago altogether because they can't handle the robberies anymore. Guggenheim Partners, which is right up there with the Citadel Group, they're fucking moving out of Chicago. They're talking about moving out of Chicago. The fucking Bears moved out of Chicago. They moved to Arlington Heights a couple of years ago, and now they want to fucking try to get a stadium that is nowhere near the city of Chicago because Chicago is a fucking war-torn hellhole. The Chicago White Sox, since 2023, have been talking about moving out of Chicago because I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Comiskey, or whatever the fuck it's called, real White Sox fans from back in the day, we all call it Comiskey, but where that's located is absolute fucking hellhole. Dude, you get off the train and you walk straight over to the stadium. You don't look or turn left or right. You put your fucking head down and you get to the fucking stadium as fast as you possibly fucking can. And if you're good, you stay in the middle of all the groups so all the fucking pieces of shit that are hanging out on the sides, they don't get to you. Chicago White Sox are in the fucking one of the worst places in the fucking city. But yeah, they're talking about moving. Rabine Group is a huge paving company and all this other shit. They're talking about moving. Sugar Bliss is moving. Chocolate Uzma is moving. And here's the mind blower of all mind blowers. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange is preparing to leave Chicago. Let's say that out loud one more time. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange is leaving its city's namesake to go somewhere else because the city it is named on is absolutely unfucking livable. Guys, if black people are doing, or if nothing but black people are running the city of Chicago, and they're proudly, boastfully, fucking raving about how great of a job they're doing, while all of the biggest companies, and this isn't even nearly all of them, all of the biggest companies are moving out of Chicago. What does that tell you about the state of the mentality of the people that are in Brandon Johnson's cabinet, as well as Brandon Johnson himself? Here's some more fun facts about Chicago, having to do with the retail sector, because Chicago has always been a very big shopping city. You've always gone to Chicago to go shopping. But what do we see now? What do we see now? We see a total of 449 empty storefronts within the inventory of 1,307 storefronts. That's 1 in every 3 storefronts on ground level, which makes all the money. In Chicago proper, in the Loop, is empty. 1 out of every 3 stores, it's actually more now, I think, but I think it's 1.7 out of every 3 stores now is empty in one of the biggest retail districts in America. It gets into storefront, it gets into square footages. This is kind of interesting. That represents 1,327,508 vacant square feet within the total inventory of 4,467,370 square feet of ground level retail space. That is a lot of square footage to not be making any fucking money. And you know why that happens? You see, good property always sells. Great property never fucking gets sold again. We're seeing all of these vacant properties because it's no longer cost-effective property. It's no longer a quote-unquote good property. It's no longer a moneymaker. And when you have a city that has scared so many fucking retail giants away from it that they won't even open businesses there anymore. You are a city in turmoil. You are a city in demise. You are swirling down the fucking shitter. You just ain't gone down the big black hole at the bottom yet. Guys, you have to understand that we're in a fucking battle in so many aspects of our lives right now. It's religious, it's racial, it's ideological, it's cultural. Everywhere you go, it's gender, it's sexual orientation, it's identity. Everywhere you go, there is a battle to be fought. And it is up to us, the normal fucking people of the world, the yous and the me's of this world. It is up to us to stand up and bring shit like this to light. Bring these racist hiring practices to light when they've been taking place for 40 years. But we are in a state now where it's becoming less and less frowned upon to talk about it. So if you're the kind of person like a lot of people where you can't talk, like I've always talked about this shit, whether we were supposed to or not, I've just always talked about it because it needed to get talked about. But if you're one of the kind of people that you need that permission, you need that little bit of a fucking hint from society that it's going to be okay if you too join the fight. This is it. We're living in the time of the fucking, of the success of the timid. We are living in the time where you are getting all the hints from society that you need to stand up, jump up, speak up, get your fucking mind and opened up and just start researching and start getting your points of view out there, because the more people that spread their perspectives, the more people that spread their point of view, especially when it's anti-narrative, when it's anti-indoctrination, when it's anti-everything we've been taught for our entire lives, that's the most important shit. So when we start seeing racism happen to everybody else, as you can see through this entire episode, this isn't them not hiring white people. This is Brandon Johnson himself refusing flat out to hire anyone that's not black. And that is blinded by color. That makes it a race issue. And now when you see this shit, call it out, because that's the only way we're going to be able to continue to get this needle moving, to get this forefront of this war front moving to a point where we can have the conversations at a table with the people we need to have the conversations with, which is the people that oppose us. Whether you are anti-Jew, anti-black, anti-white, anti-immigration, anti-migration, anti-fucking sexuality this way or that way, you need to have the conversations with the people that you're against, because the people that you're against need the information you have and they need it from you. So guys, don't be so scared to have the conversations, especially when it affects you and your family and the future of your children, the future of your friends' children, just like this story here. Brandon Johnson, the black mayor of Chicago, is the most racist motherfucker in politics today, whether it is on a city, state, local, or federal level. This motherfucker openly, blatantly fucking says he only fucking hires black people. And only by calling this shit out are we ever going to get it to fucking stop. I'm out of here, guys. Later.